This is Sharp here with the Kicked Attitude AEW Dynamite review. Fight for the Fallen. July 29th, 2021. Per usual, I'm joined by Quags, and I'm literally sitting next to Christopher.
Hey.
Back from LA in Jersey. How you doing,
So
Quags?
I'm good. Just, green with jealousy on you guys getting to be together. That's all.
We'll get you down here in Jersey one day, Quags. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It'd be a little
one
weird.
day.
It'd be a little weird if we were all just staring into a webcam together, though.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
All right. So to start the show, we saw a video package with Hangman Page about what it means to be a cowboy. Then the Elite entered with a Space Jam themed entrance. Then Kenny Omega, the Bucks, the Good Brothers defeated Hangman, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds in a 10-man elimination match. Nick Jackson and Omega were the survivors after last eliminating Hangman at about the 25-minute mark. What'd you think, Quags?
So got to start with the entrances, which I just absolutely loved. I love when they make these regular shows, give them a name, but then they don't just say that it has the name. Made it feel really special with the entrances. I love corporate synergy, so shout out Warner Media.
Gotta love it.
Although Kenny looked so bad dribbling that basketball. The Bucks looked bad, but a little better. But oh man, that was bad.
So funny.
Match itself was obviously super crazy, but it was fun. Couple spots, the Stu Grayson with the twisting press, that was really sick. Liked when him and Gallows went outside the ring, although I thought it was really strange in a match like this that they got counted out in that way so fast. When there's a lot of time when the rules were obviously not being followed. Yeah. John Silver looked really good. He's so over. That was awesome to see him back. Although, man, as someone with dislocated shoulder, just it's the only thing I can relate to with professional wrestlers. But every time he's getting slammed, I'm just like, holy cow, man! Like, I feel like I can identify just a little bit. Maybe. I mean, I probably can't, but maybe just a little bit.
You make me scared to dislocate my shoulder every time I talk about it. I always think like, I really hope that never happens to me now.
Once you pop, the fun don't stop. That's I like seeing Evil Uno wrestle Kenny a little bit. That was cool, but I feel like even though he kind of got taken out, was big ups to him. This was another instance where I thought the commercial cut out some stuff where they came back and they had to recap a bunch of things that actually were kind of important that happened. And then the ending was super surprising, but I guess it's good that we all thought we knew exactly what was going to happen, and then I was like, wow, this is really going to be a big comeback. And then when he got pinned, I was like, or it's not going to be a big comeback. So I mean, they know what they're doing. As much as I would like to see Hangman and Kenny wrestle for the title, I do trust that they know what they're doing. But yeah, surprising. Interested to see where it goes.
I think he's still going to get a title shot. I think this is just like a wrinkle in the plan. And I agree. I actually was like, whoa, they actually did something like that I really didn't expect. And I'm kind of interested to see where they go from here. Rick Knox was perfect for this because it was complete chaos. that double counter, I agree. It's like, why are they counting those two people out? But it makes sense to just get two people out real quick. It's just like an easy way to get people out. Stu Grayson really showed out in this, but for the love of God, catch the dude when he does.
He landed on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Landed on the floor.
And this is an ongoing problem with AEW is they routinely they do more dives than like most wrestling companies, but they got to get better bases. But just understand that you're there to keep somebody safe. Just get your body under him.
It's okay for it to look like we all know you're catching him. Like, it's okay for
it seemed like
you to put your hands
he jumped off some railing right after it. So I was just like, wow, it's crazy.
I liked, speaking of Evil Uno, you brought up, I liked him randomly using Baron Corbin's finisher. For whatever reason, I like it when they use like a WWE guy's finisher and someone kicks out of it like relatively easily. And I actually thought JR was on fire in this match, putting over Hangman. at one point Omega like spit in Paige's face and he was like, "Oh, that's classless." And then Don Callis said, "That's pro sports." And in WWE, they just like let stuff lie. And then JR was like, "That's not pro sports. You're an idiot." And I like that, like the face announcers actually have some backbone and they like don't like agree or appreciate people being like, this grimy tactics are fine. It's just class.
Yeah, they don't back down from they don't say, "Oh, well, I guess."
Because in WWE, like someone will put their feet on the ropes to win a match and they'll be like, "Oh, what a crafty maneuver." And it's like, no, you cheated.
Yeah, it just makes them look so like dull and like dorky. And I'm just like, well, no one's even going to be behind you, even if you're a good guy. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Honestly, I might even like the pre-match like entrances and the video package like just as much as the match. When I was watching the beginning, I was just like, wow, maybe it's because I didn't see it coming, but I'm like, this is fantastic. I love the cowboy thing. Even like their like little like cinematography stuff of like they're showing each Dark Lord member and Hangman and their shadow. It shows them, but in a cowboy hat. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Attention to detail and stuff. And the Space Jam entrance, I was cracking up when Kenny was just strutting like an idiot, just coming. I was just like, this is funny.
To be fair, I will say that was more of a face entrance, even though they were supposed to be like the bad guys.
So I think it's that and this is where maybe I'm giving them too much credit or not, but like it's heels that think that they're cool face guys.
Yeah, they're the cool guys. Which is like cool in a sense. And like everyone's under the Warner Media umbrella. If you just put it in, they're happy with it.
I still liked it quite a bit.
Oh yeah, it was great. Even like the smallest things, they're like when they're introducing like the squad as basketball players, you got Doc Dangly Gallows or whatever. And I was just like, that was pretty funny.
And I don't know if you saw Omega tweeted today something. There was a direct quote from Michael Jordan saying like, yeah, I knew Hangman was a threat, but when he thought he was like on the same level as me, I took that personally. Or like the exact something from The Last Dance. That I got a kick out of.
He always has like Jordan references, which is pretty cool. But like even like his entrance music, like I even got excited when the announcer was gonna scream like North Carolina. I don't know why. I just he does that, and it's really funny. But the match itself, so good to the point of like I was actually worried about John Silver like losing some steam just because like he was so over, the pandemic happened, then he got hurt. So I'm like, all right, he's not been in front of fans in a while. And honestly, he just flexed in front of the crowd like once and everyone was like going insane. I was like,
those tiny arms, those big arms.
He has T-Rex arms. He definitely has some T-Rex arms. He has some bowling balls as biceps, but they're like this. Reach is about 3 feet. about not so high. But like as soon as he was going, like as soon as the crowd was going nuts, I was like, okay, they must have known, because I was like, there's no way he's getting eliminated like first or second or whatever. I thought even the order of the eliminations made sense. Kind of the continuity of the match. And then when it got to Hangman versus the tag champs and then the heavyweight champ, I'm like, he's gonna pin all three of these dudes. I was like, and I was a little actually skeptical and worried. I was like, because that is actually a WWE move where they're like, we really need to get this babyface over. Let's have him beat 5 guys in a row in like 30 minutes and he'll get the shit kicked in and then he'll just win. And I'm just like, there's 5 dudes. You just won't win. So like, I was just like, okay, so you're telling me this is the best tag team and you're telling me this is the best wrestler in the world. And you're telling me that this guy's going to beat him 3. And I was like, I was so like into it that I didn't really care like that much. So he pinned one guy and I was like, oh, okay, he's really going to make this comeback. And then he just loses. And I was just like, okay, that's actually makes sense. I'm actually more excited to now know how he's going to get that match now, because especially I thought it really did make sense that Evil Uno and Stu Grayson would go against tag champs and Hangman would go against Omega, but now they're going to have a different way how to go about it. Oh, also another little tidbit. It was pretty cool when they did like that Indie Taker on the outside to dunk it.
I thought that might be a little too goofy.
A little goofy, but it was actually
it still was fun though.
It was actually probably better as bad guys for him to miss, because everyone started chanting, saying you still like, that was funny. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I like that they attempted it because they're still wearing all the Toon Squad gear the Elite
silly.
Squad.
They're still, like you got to know that they're silly people now.
All right. So then backstage, Alex Marvez interviewed Pac. Lucha Bros didn't show up, and it's because someone canceled their car from the airport. Chavo came in, said Andrade booked the Lucha Bros in a limo so they could arrive in style.
This is not necessary, to be honest. I actually don't like when they it's like when they pull back the curtain a little bit. Like, I don't like when they talk about like, oh, who's renting the car and stuff like that. I feel like that's more backstage, like kind of like that, like the wrestlers, like locker room stuff more so than the show stuff. So I was never a fan of that. And this really didn't get anywhere. Like, there was no further movement of this storyline, which kind of bummed me out a bit. I like Andrade. Now I don't understand the point of him being with Vicky Guerrero. It kind of would have made more sense if just introduced Chavo and that's it. Now I feel like maybe they just made a pivot as in like, hey, Vicky, just stick with the girls, and like, okay, and then Chavo, you got this or whatever, if they're just gonna invite him. Yeah, it was just the same thing though. There's not much more to it, just the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what was going on or why this is on the show.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine until they didn't follow up on it. And then I was like, why was this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they would show up later and they would have some type of issue, but all right. So then the FTW celebration featured a band to bring out Ricky Starks to the ring. Starks said he was the glue that held the group together since the beginning. He ran down Cage. When Starks broke his neck, Cage didn't even check up on him. Doesn't have an ounce of the charisma Starks does. Then Cage music hit. He attacked the band members, busted a drum over someone's head, and then Starks headed for the hills.
Ricky Starks is great. He knows how to cut a promo very well. So it makes sense to kind of put him front and center of this group now. So now I kind of understand the dynamic a little bit of what they wanted. This celebration needed to be over the top, especially for a belt that's not even like sanctioned in their company. So it kind of makes sense to like do that. Seemed kind of weird though, panning to Taz, like just loving this when that was just kind of awkward. I liked him more as a serious role. Yeah, it's like kind of awkward, but like I like him as a serious role because we all really like Taz a lot in a sense of like when he says like, hey, you're gonna get hurt, like he kind of speaks with conviction on it. When he's kind of being this chummy laughing guy, it's kind of weird, but I could see that they're playing the heel versions of that. There's no Hobbs. They said it was actually kind of sneaky how they got into it. They said they were trying to recruit, and I think they just wanted Cage to come in and kind of lay wreckage to everyone. And I think it would have looked bad if Hobbs was there and then kind of ran off, because like you're supposed to have these two big behemoths type of humans. It would have looked bad if like Powerhouse Hobbs like left. So it was actually good he was left out of this segment. It was just Ricky Starks and Hook that just left. But Ricky Starks can talk. I think he's going to be a major player in the future.
I thought the promo was real good. There were two great lines by the announcers. What someone said, are those orange roses, when they give Ricky Starks a bouquet of roses? They said, are those orange roses? And I think Excalibur said, if so, Taz will send him a cease and desist, because Taz has in the past, if people wore orange gear, he accused them of stealing his gimmick just because he's like, I have carte blanche over orange.
Oh my gosh.
Over orange. So I like that a lot. So and then I love Jim Ross saying there's no place for trombones in wrestling. To which Xavier Woods actually tweeted him a thing with like a bunch of trombones, and Jim Ross liked it. So I thought that was funny, but I thought it was a fun enough segment. It was fine.
Yeah, that was like a good fun like shot across the bow there. I thought. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you all said. The only thing I have to say is, what did the band do? What did that poor bass drum?
I felt bad for the guy.
He just
like, we got
up.
hired for this. It's not our fault.
Just getting crushed.
Meanwhile, that dude is probably like either enhancement talent or just like a crew member, and he's like thrilled that happened to him. But anyway,
I get to beat this drum and then have this beat in my head.
All right, so
it's also just a good lesson in being like, okay, guy betrays you, talks crap about you, you run in, that's it, we're gonna have a match. Like, no complicated, like,
simple.
So then we had a pre-tape from New Japan's ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. He'll be challenging the winner of tonight's IWGP US title match. All right, so quick background. When I first started watching New Japan, I didn't like Tanahashi that much because he's pretty much their version of John Cena, except he's an incredible wrestler. And the longer I watch, this dude does not have any bad matches over and over against any opponent. And now he's like one of my favorites, even though he's like 42. He had an incredible match with Jericho when Jericho came, which Jericho said he thought was better than his Omega match. This isn't going to be on AEW TV that we heard later, so that's unfortunate. It's actually going to be in the Coliseum in Los Angeles, but I won't be there at the time. Otherwise, I would go see it. But I like this, and this is big because this is a big star as opposed to like Hikuleo, who later is just like an up and coming guy. But I like the promo.
Yeah, I was into it. You could tell he was an important guy. Like, this little crossover thing is actually working for me.
Yeah, I think now, like in the beginning, this Forbidden Door, it was cool at first, and then I was skeptical.
Which, by the way, it was coined by this guy, right?
Oh yeah.
He was the one that
by him?
said
it was when he was versing Jericho. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it would be silly if he wasn't like a part of it at all. But like it got to a point of where like when they said open the Forbidden Door, it was like Private Party went to Impact Wrestling, and then Doc and Gals went to AEW. I'm like, okay, I like those guys, but I'm like, this isn't like earth shattering like crossover promotions. Like, okay, here's you can take this guy, we'll take that guy.
It was like Kenta coming in, so that was like
no, it got better but let's just say this. I think it was kind of like the New Japan guy. I think this is going to be like kind of topping this off a bit, like having this guy. Tanahashi versus Moxley. Those are very two prominent guys that are going to go after it. And now it's not only going to be on AEW now. So it seems like the crossover is like a very real thing, which is pretty cool.
Well, first Archer, right?
Yeah.
But
then the US title.
We're guessing Mox is the next. Almost
based on that promo is definitely, and that'll probably be an AEW match, which we'll get to that later. I'm looking forward to that. But before that, we had FTR defeating Proud and Powerful about 10 minutes after Harwood hit a brainbuster on Ortiz. The match was pretty clearly cut short after Wheeler slammed his forearm into the ring post and it sliced open pretty hard. I mentioned to you guys in the chat, anytime like some like inner part of your arm gets sliced open, it's no bueno. You could lose a lot of blood that way. Real quick, I thought what we got was really good, and it's a bummer, but I'm sure there's going to be a rematch in the works. I wish they had mic'd up. I mean, I'm sure they had the ref mic'd up, but I wish they called an audible and been like, hey, that dude's down, so maybe have Proud and Powerful win this one, even though you want the good guys.
It was so
end.
It was quick.
It seemed so fast, like almost Dax might have just made that decision and been like, okay, go down, like,
Yeah, that's a tough call.
My last tidbit real quick, I liked Proud and Powerful's old theme song. They had a different theme this time.
Yeah, I do miss it. I don't know, it's a tough call because like if anything, like after the injury and stuff, who kind of suffered from that abrupt ending was Proud and Powerful, because it's just like you have two guys who are like, hey, we're in the ring, it's just one guy, and
they lost.
That's just simple right then and there. So I felt bad for them, but obviously I feel bad for Cash Wheeler. Hopefully he comes back. I know that, I guess, like I'm bummed because I was so pumped for this match for a while, and then like when it was happening, it was slowly turning into like a barn burner, like a very good match, and I was very excited. I'm like, okay, this is going the pace that like I figured it was going. And then as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh damn. I'm like, especially Cash Wheeler seems like a guy who could like really go, as in like he doesn't seem like a person that would stop just for kind of like a rinky dink type thing. And like soon as you saw like the blood coming out, I'm like, that doesn't look good at all. Like the match a lot, but it just kind of like they'll make it up in a sense. Like usually when these stuff happens, they'll always kind of make it up in the long run. So just a bummer right now.
Yeah, totally agree. I think they'll make it out in the long run. I think they were ready for a long match. I wonder who got time from this, honestly, because
I thought like that too.
But either way, everything y'all have said, it was a bummer that Santana and Ortiz got beat in that way, but at the same time, like when something like that happens, it kind of goes out the window, right? A little bit.
100%. Yep.
Seeing Cash, I saw him come off the ropes, and then I just saw him walk very normally, like this, holding his arm in the background. Like if you were watching it during the match, I was like, uh-oh, I'm just happy he didn't like snap his arm in half. I thought that's what happened.
That's what I thought. I thought like a bone was going to stick out or something like that.
Too.
And I'm like, oh God, hopefully not. Because he caught a lot of unlucky breaks. He had like his jaw wired shut or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and basically,
Jericho just started. I'm not joking. It wasn't pressing anything. Talking Jericho just started playing. All right.
We got him on the pod. Our viewers just spiked just because we said the name Jericho. But like, basically, he had his like. Remember, he had like his jaw wired shut or whatever. Like when he was in WWE, he was out for like a while, and then actually screwed him in, like, and they actually like screwed them in their contract when they were looking to leave. They said, well, yeah, like you had surgery and your jaw wired shut, so like you have to make up for like that 5 months. So they actually added 5 months extra for them to stay in WWE when they really wanted to leave. So he's catching a bad break.
The only other thing I thought was weird here was then the announcers kept saying like Santana and Ortiz are taking things seriously now. Their bodies are so different. They've totally changed. I don't know. I was like, were they not before? Like, I guess maybe they're supposed to get a push or something. I mean, they did, I guess, kind of look more built, like, but I don't know. Do you have any insight on that?
I definitely recognize that when I was listening to it. I mean, that's a very easy way for announcers to like get over that. Like you should take them more seriously now. But I agree. I was like, I will say Santana looks more jacked than ever. And I think Ortiz is more fit, but I did think they hammered it home, specifically JR, a little much, where I was like, all right, we get it. Kind of like it was, but I think they really do want to put them on a new track because I've always seen them as a bigger and better tag team as they've been portrayed as. So if they do talk like that and say, hey, you should think of them differently now, it doesn't bother me as much because I do think of them in that way. But
do you think they'll take it as a dig though? As in like when JR was saying like, oh, he's taking himself really seriously, as in like, oh, like, did you not think originally I was taking it seriously?
Well, they were goofy. They when they were in the inner circle things, Ortiz was slipping in the orange juice and flopping around, and like it was.
But everyone was doing that.
It was a goofier portrayal.
It was, yeah. No, they're very much serious now. I think they're going to be taken very seriously going forward. I actually randomly saw him at an airport, like very weird. I saw him from a distance. It was like
you're always seeing people, man.
I know. I was just gonna catch them at the right time. There was still an impact though, so they weren't that big. But I just stared, and I could just one of them looked up, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's definitely them." It's like
funny.
All right. So then we had earlier in the evening, Tony interviewed Britt Baker. Baker managed to beat Nyla Rose with a broken wrist. Britt wants to bring in someone to have her and Reba's back. Everyone at home is sitting there waiting for her to fail. What did you think about this, Wags?
Oh, I wonder who it's going to be. I mean, clearly seems like they're going to bring somebody in. It's literally what she said. Yeah. So nothing new there. I'm kind of interested in that. Yeah, I don't know. It was a short promo. DMD is over as ever, right? I saw AEW tweeted. They said, retweet if you can hear this GIF. And it was just her going. And I was like, I can hear it.
But like, I guess the promo was short, but did you get bothered by it? Or did you think it was weird? You have Reba or Rebel just in a crutch, and then now you have Britt Baker that's in a cast. They look like they got their shit kicked in a little bit. Like just seeing them as in like I was waiting for the bandages around the eye or something, or just like it's because they are like getting really hurt. I feel bad making jokes about it, but like just I'm watching like these two girls, like I'm just like they're very hurt. They're like, it's like how are they not like in the hospital bed right now? Like good for them to keep going, but it's just like I thought.
Yeah,
it's funny how Britt Baker says, "Oh yeah, we need someone to protect us." I thought Reba was there to protect her, and then she's getting more hurt than like Britt. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know.
I got that a little. I like that she at least acknowledged it, that she said, yeah, obviously I got hurt. But what bothered me most of all about this is she's like a heel again. she was just like healing on the fans near the end. It was like, okay, you just kind of had like a Stone Cold vibe where you like talk shit to people but you're still a face and you tell the truth.
I blame that on the feud. I didn't like the Nyla thing from the start. It was kind of
but Nyla feud or not, people want to cheer her, so make her a badass baby face. I just didn't get the direction, but
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So then we had Tony Schiavone announcing that AEW would be coming to the United Center for the first dance. Then Marvez interviewed Darby and Sting. Darby said, "There's only one place to prove you're the greatest. It's AEW, even if you think you're the best in the world."
And who might that be? So my thought about this is, yeah, it's great. I mean, that's a good person for Punk to face if it is him. And goodness gracious, if it's not him, I don't know what
they would have a lot of fan backlash.
Well, they're gonna have some trouble on their hands, I feel like. And AEW fans love them. I mean, I'm sure if it was a swerve, it would be a good one, but I don't think any of us think that it is.
Yeah. I think at this point, if you do a swerve that it's not CM Punk, you have negative equity with this, and
really bad. It would be really bad.
I think they might do something though. I think they might do if he does come in, maybe a program with Darby, because they're both straight edge, tatted up guys. They'll probably maybe be buddies like after they fight once or something. I don't know. It's interesting, but there was another tease later about CM Punk with they got to bring him in. You can't tease this much and not bring him in. Yeah. That's like a dick move.
Well, it's just like if you like what Quags was saying before, if you're gonna swerve, it's like who else would it equate to? You know what I mean? It's just like you can't top that at that point. You're not gonna have a good reaction if you don't get that.
It's all the rumors, right? Like it's Punk, Bryan, or now Lesnar is the other one, and if it's Lesnar
comes in, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, if Lesnar comes in, that would
people are saying Lesnar.
That would break the barrier.
That's not.
I highly doubt Lesnar would ever come in personally. Yeah.
So
they have the money to throw at him.
It's not up to the level of what almost seems like certain reporting about Punk and Bryan. I mean, at this point, it would be a surprise almost if they didn't show up, but. Yeah, it was like thrown in the mix, but who knows, man. But the Punk thing you can't say best in the world. You can't have it in Chicago and make a big deal and be in the United Center. I mean, like, because then people are just going to go, I can't believe that they betrayed us just to sell tickets. And,
yeah, that's like scary. And it doesn't seem like that's what they do. I'm just kind of shocked that they even said best. I'm shocked that they even put that forward. I thought they were going to just deny every question about CM Punk. Until they actually got to the pay-per-view. So for them, maybe they just said, F it. Like, they're just going to keep asking us. We know he's coming in. Why not milk this a little bit more? As in like, hey, guys, can't say for sure, but yeah, he's definitely coming.
Yeah.
All right. So then we had Lance Archer beating Hikuleo in about 8 minutes to retain the IWGP US title with the blackout.
Hikuleo is very tall. I keep forgetting. I even saw him last week. I'm like, oh wow, he's tall. And then I forgot. And then I saw him again. I'm like, wow, this dude is towering. And like it's very weird seeing someone look down at Lance Archer because he is a very big presence in a sense. This really was weird. Good. I could see this being like a very like an agreement with New Japan of like, hey, we have one of our young guns or whatever. Can you like put this guy on your TV? He doesn't need to win, but we need him to be kind of prominently shown just because he's a guy we want to push in the future. And I could see AEW be like, oh yeah, definitely. Sure. We'll give him like a title match or whatever. He had Haku, which was like a very big, like old school guy, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool seeing them going like power move after power move. And this is the Archer we want to see. And this is what I was really worried about at first before he wrestled Moxley. He was losing big match after big match after big match. And I was be like, oh, like how can we take this guy seriously if he's going to lose every big match? But thankfully that Texas Death Match last week won the title. And now I think this is perfect of what he's doing. He's just going to keep going forward and forward and forward of like winning like good matches, especially against a big guy. And that blackout was pretty impressive of like a 7-foot guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome to see like huge guys wrestle in AEW, like a big guy like Archer get another big guy to wrestle. And like big and lean and tall and whatever else. Love when they walk the ropes. That's always one of my favorite things because it looks so freaking hard.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the blackout is such a sick move, and with like a big guy like that too, to slam him in that way. Woof. So yeah, this is cool.
Near
And it was like
that's pretty impressive.
not quite a squash, but yeah, exactly. Like he got on TV, but they made sure to note like he's a young guy, he's got a ways to go, he needs to. And then yeah, Lance Archer won.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Quag, it's not quite a squash, but pretty close to a squash against, not like he's a young gun in New Japan, but he still is like kind of a somebody. So for him to just run through someone, I liked it. The match wasn't incredible. No one was gonna expect that to be an incredible match, but it was good overall. So then we had Alex Marvez interviewing Cody from his EVP seat in gorilla position. Cody was about to start his promo where Malachi Black attacked.
Sign. Like, come on.
I mean, that's how they do it in show business, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
They fought up the rampway. Black knocked him out with a knee, and the crowd chanted for Malachi. A bunch of wrestlers ran out to check on Cody, and Black kicked Fuego del Sol's head off. Cody, we get it. You're an EVP. I'm sick of seeing them at the desk. Not that they've done it that often, but I don't like, we've talked about it when he has the headphones on, or we get it. Just pretend you're a wrestler when you're on camera. But good segment. I thought the kick looked incredible, and I'm interested in this match coming next week.
The people love Malachi Black.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. They're cheering for him over Cody for sure.
You know what? They're smart. They're smart of picking Fuego del Sol of getting kicked in the face, because that guy is super over. Every time, like I watch these. It's true. As much as if you don't like him or not, like I'm indifferent with him. I think he's funny, and then I just think he's just some generic guy. But I watch the vlogs that he's in. I watch these dark matches. I watch the dark matches that he's in. He gets like a higher pop than some of the guys that are on Dynamite. It's actually insane. And I think when like they're like, okay, we need Malachi Black to come in and stuff, like, all right, but we need him to get booed though, because like you're right, as in like some people like Malachi Black, they're like, all right, throw Fuego in there, and then like everyone will be like, oh, if you hurt Fuego, you're definitely a jerk in this scenario or whatever. So I actually thought that was a very smart move by them, because they're gonna sign him. They just are milking it so much because they know he'll get more over as much as you don't sign him.
The funny thing though is they still didn't really boo. It was like a very mixed
it was an uphill battle.
Yeah.
All right. So then in a pre-tape promo, Miro says next week's God's favorite champion will fight Lee Johnson. Nobody can take away his divine right. Only two things motivate him: a vengeful God and a double-jointed wife.
You know what's sad is that I actually know the backstory of how Lee Johnson got this match. I'm actually kind of like frustrated that I do know this. So like I was watching, I think it was Dark Elevation, and they had a little segment where they had that new video game on their phone. It's like All Elite GM or whatever. So they had like, you know how they had those video game tournaments. So they had one guy win it, and they said, okay, here, like they gave him like a fake belt or whatever. And then they said, okay, and then another prize is you get to pick a match. And then and the winner of that match gets to verse Miro for the TNT title. So he like picked Lee Johnson versus someone. And I was just like, this is stupid. Just like, Lee Johnson,
don't you love incorporating video games into your storylines? So and cool.
Just as much as I'm talking about this story, I'm like, why do I even know this? It's just like, it's just like Lee Johnson shouldn't even be there at all, but he's probably like the top like star in their whatever academy factor, whatever their school is. I already don't like it that they definitely show favoritism of that school, saying, hey, if you come to our school, we'll show you on TV. So is what it is, but what we're gonna see though is Miro gonna kill someone, because Lee Johnson is gonna obviously take a beating in that, so that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, and Miro is great promo, so scary, like, but
light years better.
Yeah, I heard on the Masked Man show, they were saying he says something that's funny, but he says it completely seriously. And you're like, oh, he's like psychotic. Like,
he says God's favorite champ. He's just like, yeah, I'm so happy that I get to demolish people, and also my wife's double jointed. He just says it with a very straight face. I'm like, this guy's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so then we had Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy defeating HFO, Hardy Family Office, which featured Angelico and Private Party. About 5 minutes when Christian hit Mark Quinn with a frog splash. After the match, the Blade came out and knocked out Christian with the brass knuckles. What'd you think, Quags?
I think Private Party is. I really like those guys, and I think it's a disservice them being in the HFO, and also their gimmick keeps changing. Like they're party guys, and then they're like, looks like almost bouncers or something. I don't know. I don't.
It's weird.
It's weird. Jungle Express, good. I like that they had this situation where there wasn't tension between Christian and Jungle Boy. Like for a minute, everything seemed okay. Match was fine. Luchasaurus with the hot tag is fun. Yeah, I mean, it was like a way to get to something else, right? And then the brass knuckle thing is okay, whatever. I mean, at least you're using the HFO connection for something, even though I wish it would go away. Although they did love Matt Hardy in his home state there.
Yeah, that was gonna be. I was kind of surprised they booked this in general because they do love Matt Hardy there, and I'm like, why even attempt this match? Just do it at a different week. It's not like we're dying to see HFO. Like anyway,
Speak for yourself.
I think that's why. I think that's why, because they wanted to have him come out to a pop, something that didn't really matter, and then move on.
100%.
Kind of over this pointless Christian Cage feuds though. As in, like, we saw Blade versus Orange Cassidy. We just knew that was just Orange Cassidy just staying busy to get over. And then this is just essentially going to be the same thing. As in, like, Blade's going to beat Christian Cage. That's very believable.
All right, so I'm not going to add anything other than 2 quotes that I really enjoyed. I like Jim Ross saying Marco Stunt's been drinking too much Diet Mountain Dew when he was spazzing out in the beginning. And this was my favorite line of the night. Tony said, Tony Schiavone, and I'm going to try to do it as exactly how he said it. When commenting on Private Party's ring attire, he said, he talked to them and they said, this is how we dress at the club, so we're coming back to the club. And Tony Schiavone said that, and then there was a real awkward silence. And then they kind of just moved on.
I would just be so embarrassed. I'm like, can you never do that?
I like Tony Schiavone trying to not act like a 65-year-old dorky white guy.
He's so odd sometimes. I do enjoy him at times, but his earrings and him saying the stuff is just so odd. I will say though, you said the Luchasaurus hot tag,
the triple German suplex.
That was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, it's so funny listening to their podcast with Shivani and Aubrey Edwards, and sometimes like some of the comments they're making where they're like, "Yeah, I had 4 monsters yesterday." I'm always like, "Are you teenage boys?" It's so weird. It's so weird.
He's an odd
Aubrey too, though. It's not just him, and they're like,
they're both like quirky, like they in a sense,
I mean, they work in professional wrestling, so I get it.
A little out there.
All right, so then we saw a promo package for Nick Gage. What can Jericho do to Gage that hasn't been done already? Jericho's gonna feel pain for the rest of his life. MDK all day.
I really enjoyed this, to be honest. I enjoyed it in a sense of like, okay, I knew Nick Gage like was like a very like wild like human being and all that stuff, but just to scrap that, like let's just say Nick Gage was just so and so person and Jericho was versing the so and so person. I'm glad that they explain who this person is and why is he a big deal, and basically now we know like why is he in the main event, because that sometimes that is a very slippery slope if you don't explain who's going. And like with these New Japan stuff or whatever, it's sometimes they run the risk of like, oh, like this guy's doing this and this guy has this title and this guy's doing. I'm like, I got like we could say we're very diehard fans. Sometimes I get confused, and I'm like, if I'm confused, that means the casual will not even have an ounce of like an understanding of what's going on. So I really enjoyed this now, but just talking about Nick Gage, I think this is kind of a perfect match in a sense, like where I was worried. I'm like, hey, if it's not like hardcore, like we'll get to the match, like obviously,
too much about that.
but the promo in itself, I wanted to know who Nick Gage was, and seeing like those highlights and stuff, I was just like kind of did a perfect job of amping you up of what was going to happen in the main event.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I just wrote scary.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man.
Scary and see a dentist. That is weird.
Well, to add on that, I said great video package, but I don't know if this guy's aesthetically pleasing enough to be on national TV consistently.
I think he's a good one, like a good, perfect once in a time main event, as in like, let's get this guy to come in.
But if you were to say to him, like, why don't you get that fixed or whatever, he'd be like, why? I'm just gonna bust my head on.
He's got meth mouth too. He's
a interesting cat to say the least.
All right, so then Thunder Rosa defeated Julia Hart in Thunder Rosa's first official match as an AEW wrestler, about 4 minutes with the Thunder Driver.
This match was okay. Kind of weird because I thought Thunder Rosa signed a while ago, and then they're like, she signed now. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's why you have this random match. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So that's good. All about them beefing up their women's roster. So Thunder Rosa was definitely a necessary sign. Julia Hart, I like managing a little bit more than actual matches, especially when they both had their, their pre-match promos, like during their entrances, they had a little screen. You could tell that Julia's very green in a sense of like, she didn't even talk. Like it was Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. Like, Julie's going to do this. Julie's going to do that. And I'm like waiting for Julia to say something. And she's just like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, okay, like that's fine. And then Thunder Rosa cuts her own promo. Everyone's super into Thunder Rosa. Like you just know she's obviously just going to beat her in a sense. So I do like the pairing of Julia Hart with Varsity Blondes. I think that completely makes sense. And I don't know if like you guys watch Dark, but they're
no, we don't. We never watch Dark.
I know, but I'm saying that they have a very good feud going. Like they have a very good feud going with the Acclaimed, and I'll admit, like the stuff on Dark is just random. Like I'll just like fast forward through it. But the Acclaimed, they're having
right.
I'm you watch it from start to finish. No, dude, it's like two. It's longer than the actual Dynamite.
No bullying. No bullying.
It's 2.5 hours long. No one can stand to watch that. Sure. But I'm thank you, Quacks. Defend me here. I wish he was here in person. But the Acclaimed has been like going like insanely ham on like Julia Hart, just making fun of her nonstop. They just keep talking about like tag teaming her and whatnot. I was like, oh my God. I was just like, they have no shame of like throwing jokes under the bus with her and stuff. So like, that's what I'm saying. She's like a perfect in a sense of a manager role, as in like take the heat or be the bunt of jokes or whatever, not a match type person.
I'll hop in and just say this was a squash match. It was fine. Julia Hart's not great in the ring.
Yeah. Don't have anything to add. Great. Go more Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa got a big pop. Please. I'll say that. Thunder Rosa, people like her. All right.
I love her. I love her. Big fan.
Yeah. So then we had a Moxley backstage promo. He wondered how the French and Croatian water polo teams got into Japan when he can't. He's got business in Tokyo he can't get done. The second he lost the championship, Tanahashi showed up. He's been dodging Moxley, but screw him. He doesn't deserve to verse Moxley. Moxley sent a ton of contracts to Japan, and we'll see who comes through the forbidden door. But though the forbidden doors are open, there's nothing good waiting on the other side. I thought this was a great promo. Not much more to add. I thought a cool last line.
Yeah, I like the last line a lot.
It's really cool.
That's all.
I like that. It was kind of like meandering, but it felt perfect. Yeah. Mox, like, oh, you want to, like, he was just angry about stuff and wanted to get it off his chest. I could see. I mean, you could see. Yeah, you could see the character watching the Olympics and being like, I thought I couldn't go to Japan. How the hell did they get into Japan?
The detail of it being like the Croatian water polo team. He picked like an obscure sport in an obscure country.
It's very odd.
It does. Yeah. It makes it funnier. Like, how the hell do these people get to Japan when I can?
Yeah, that was great.
All right. So then in the main event, we saw Painmaker Chris Jericho defeating Nick Gage. About 12 minutes with a Judas effect. Pizza cutters, light tubes, broken glass, ton of blood, and MJF on commentary. After the match, MJF took the stage, played a clip of Jericho mentioning Juventud Guerrero a year or so back. Jericho's third labor would to beat cruiserweight legend Juventud in a match where you can only win with a top rope move. What did you think, Chris?
Well, to start the match, I was like very amped for it. I'm like, okay, this is the main event. We just got this whole package going through. Always enjoy the Painmaker stuff. He got the pizza cutter in like immediately, and I just thought that was like a gimmick thing. And then he cut his arm. I'm like, oh wow, he's bleeding. Or I'm like, this is all very. This got real, quick.
Let me hop into this real quick because this is one of my favorite things of the match was that because I think it's genius in that. Oh, everyone's kind of like, oh, is this kind of going to be like a traditional like WWE or normal wrestling style hardcore match? And that was like a great production move to be like straight up cut the guy's arm. He like looks at it and he's just straight up bleeding. And it's just like, this is, you immediately know this is going to be fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, right off the bat.
Gnarly might be the perfect word for this match. Cause as soon as that happened, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be definitely weird. And then like, it's going through and I just enjoyed a lot of this stuff in a sense of like, it's a definitely interesting take. Like a lot of people hate that type of stuff. I don't watch it regularly. I maybe only like it. Like this was probably perfect. Just watch it once and like, I'm done. I got my fix of it. Like the light tubes and all that stuff. That was crazy. Honestly, like what he did, the Hurricane Rana off the top rope. I thought like they were kind of like, especially they're not like the most tip-top shape type of like athletes. So I'm like, they're both like high up. I'm like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen here? I thought like they were just gonna both drop or whatever. And he actually hits it. And the crowd went ballistic when that happened, the glass smashing and stuff. And then they just kept slamming each other on the glass and everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like getting gross, but in a good way. Like I think this is how they show Jericho being the professional that he is. He knew exactly how much to push this envelope because I've seen these death matches before on the internet and YouTube stuff. People could go way too far into it, just being like, this is not even wrestling. This is just like you guys stabbing each other and see who like falls first. You could see Jericho push that envelope to a point of like, okay, this is like an AEW match. We still need to make it an AEW match, but it was fun seeing Nick Gage. Nick Gage is a very polarizing character. They capitalized very well on the dark side of the ring. And using his popularity, I think it's perfect. They use him once and that's it. Cause like how can you use this guy more than what he's needed? So a lot of sense light tube things was great. I even liked that it was pretty cool. Like how they roped it in, like the whole Painmaker stuff was built like in Japan, and then he did like the mist thing, and I was like confused at first. I was like, that kind of makes sense a little bit because that's where that's where it kind of came from, was Japan, and that was a big thing back in the day. And it was kind of nice that like it actually made Gage like actually it put him over in a sense, as in like he had to throw something to blind him to kind of hit him with it, and it didn't make him look like a chump. I thought everyone looked very well doing this, and we'll talk about the pre-match. I want to actually hear about what you guys thought about the actual match before the post-match stuff.
Yeah, I thought the match was good. I do just have one thing where they say this match has no rules. Okay, well, it has rules. If you pin someone, you win. So that was just annoying to me. But yeah, that's a stupid nitpicky thing. And did you notice
that doesn't bother me?
I always like the name of
some semblance.
I like the name No Holds Barred. I don't know why. It just makes it sound like the no rule. I get what you're saying though.
Yeah. But I get why they say that too. It's to create a new level of like extreme, right? Did you notice when they went to commercial and he was doing the pizza cutter on Jericho's head? It was a Domino's commercial.
Yeah, and they got upset. Domino's got upset about it apparently.
Well, and here's the thing.
Hilarious. Yeah,
there's no way that was an accident. They knew they were going to do that pizza cutter. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
probably thought it was.
Yeah, I thought the mist was a great finish because it's him. Yeah, equaling. Basically saying like, yeah, you have all this extreme stuff, but you're not expecting this, and being a little bit more conniving than just brute force. The Hurricane Rana was sick. I didn't know how they were going to break that glass, but I did not think it was going to be like that. And so, yeah, that was a great move. I don't think I've ever seen the glass pane before either. not that I'm super well versed in hardcore matches, but
it was loud. Like,
yeah,
you could tell
and
everyone went ballistic.
it looks really cool too. I mean, like seeing it.
Yeah.
And apparently somebody in the front row like got glass on them. Just crazy stuff,
Probably
right?
glass.
Yeah. Yeah, good use of Nick Gage. Absolutely don't do this all the time. Once in a great while is fine. A couple times a year to have a hardcore match is fine. Doesn't need nobody. Well, I don't know. This exists elsewhere if you do want to see it all the time, but we don't need to see it all the time.
No.
But it was good. This was really good.
I don't really have that much to add based on what you guys said. I really enjoyed the match. Don't do this all the time, and they've done hardcore matches a little too much. The last, I think, 4 or 5 weeks in a row, they've had some sort of street fight, no DQ, hardcore match. And this was obviously the most hardcore of them all, which I appreciated that they were like, oh, this is the king of the death match, so they're gonna actually have like an actual death match. I thought Nick Gage coming in, being a huge cult following type guy and being like a fan favorite, and Jericho still was the big time face in this match, was a really good sign for Chris Jericho. He's super over, and I figured he'd be over, but he's more over than I thought he'd be with crowds coming back. I'm going to delve in. I'll start the delving into the post match. I love the MJF. First of all, I thought MJF was fantastic on commentary.
Yeah, he really was.
I loved him going and saying with the CM Punk thing, as you sit there in more pain than you ever been in your life. That's exactly what's like a version of that is what CM Punk said to John Cena. Another homage to him, which they can't. You can't be like poking the bear this much and not going to deliver. It's they don't do that in AEW. That's a WWE type thing.
They usually deliver.
I've seen MJF running down Gage on Twitter a lot recently, and that would be a great match to bring him back. I actually think they're definitely going to bring Gage back in. This is my opinion. Moxley, Kingston, Gage in a 3-on-3 match versus some other trio. That's like the trio of the crazy guys. I'm book it.
Book it.
I know that's happening.
Book it.
And for the Hoovy pickup, okay, so we bring up the Conan podcast. Hoovy has like burned every bridge in the world. He just had like a tournament in Mexico that was based on him, and the different brackets, I forget what they were, but one was called like the Hoovy bracket, one was called like the Juice bracket because that's his nickname. It was all based around him, where he commentated. And he's just this weirdo guy that has like gone into business for himself and screwed around way too many times, but he's really good. He's now like in his 40s, so I don't know how good he is now, but Jericho is actually good friends with him, so I know he's not going to screw around. And I think MJF bringing Jericho into different versions, like this was the Painmaker. The first one was like almost like the AEW version of Jericho. Now this is going to almost be like the old WCW when I was a cruiserweight version of Jericho, high flying type Jericho. I think it's very cool that it's going to all the different levels of his life. I think it's just a cool shtick.
Yeah.
Do you get a sense that this might be his last run doing?
Posted that on Twitter, and I don't think so. But I don't think so, but I think it's pretty cool.
I don't know.
I don't think it would be him retiring so much as, okay, I'm not going to wrestle as regularly anymore. Like I want to do it.
I don't think he's going to win in the end, to be honest. If we're going to give a hot
I think he's going to win.
But
no, I don't think
then
so.
Wouldn't that be so perfect? Isn't that the whole, like, that's cliche if he doesn't win in the end?
Like that's like an MJF thing to do, as in like, let me put you through, like that's the whole point. It's putting him through hell. So when you get to me, like you won't beat me in a sense, as in like that's just shtick though. He likes to piss people off to a point of like, okay, if you want to verse me, come beat me, but you have to go through all these challenges. They go through hell through these challenges, and then they're kind of beat up going into it. So
I saw somebody post that they think that Paul White might be one of the challenges.
That'd be funny. He said he did his
old tag team.
Yeah,
partner.
He said that's just, that could make sense as in like a versus your old friend in this sense. So
I don't know.
That could be.
I don't even want to bring it up. I'm gonna get to it in my Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket of the
World. Yeah. So if you guys have any opinion on the aftermath,
the aftermath is good. I thought it was very smart of them. You could tell that MJF and Jericho really thought this whole thing out very strategically. Of like they put up a clip of a small joke that they said last year and they're blowing up now. I'm like, okay, that's just like them working themselves very well into what's going to be like into fruition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right. So anyone want to start with their Rocket of the Night? Quags, let's go to you first.
I'll say that first entrance. I mean, I was so jacked up for that. And they like, with Hangman, I was like, wait, is he gonna do the Dark Order thing? But then it works perfect with his pistol in the air. Just so awesome. Yeah, I hope he, even if it's not a title shot, I hope he doesn't go anywhere away from being on TV all the time. I just love him so much. And the Dark Order thing with him, who could have known it would work out like this? I mean, it's working out so well.
It is blossoming beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yours as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Quags. I love the entrances, the pageantry, like in the beginning, even like the small things, like the tights on like Hangman, whatever, he had purple like flowers on. I was just like, you can even tell, and it's like on the jumbo screen or whatever. It usually has like the kind of the dawn background. He had a purple background. It was just like that, and then they all had the bandanas or whatever, and like. It's hard to take Dark Order seriously, especially when like, you see John Silver so short, having this bandana, he's going crazy. You got Evil Uno who's literally wearing a mask, has a bandana on. They're all just so into it. And then the Space Jam interesting. I think that in the match is going to be like my whole Rocket.
You know what? That wasn't mine, but I will say they need to do more stuff like that. I think that type of stuff is what WWE is the king of doing. And the better you can get at producing content, and I think entrances is a huge part of that, and they're doing well with bringing in good music. But who doesn't love a fucking banging entrance? We all do in any sport. Like, even with the Bulls, when the Bulls used to come out, like the epic music. Yeah, it's just like you think about that even more than the match sometimes.
You were just at the Mets game. What was the song?
The closer comes into the trumpets. Everyone goes nuts. And then you're like, all right, well, now we got to watch him actually play baseball.
To the viewers listening at home, Eric mentioned 1,000 times he was at a baseball game.
But my Rocket of the Night was like the general feeling in this company that anything can happen. Like the CM Punk references. You had Hikuleo from New Japan. You had Nick Gage, Tanahashi randomly popping up. And then I kind of had like a sub one was I thought the announcing was fantastic. I thought Jim Ross was excellent this night. He was just he kept repeating like how much Hangman got screwed over and how he like didn't lose it. I don't know. I thought he did like a really good job putting over that match and about how not backing down from Callis and being like, dude, you're a piece of shit. Like you guys are cheating. Like, we're in WWE. They're just like, whoa, look at this guy. Look at that. What a crafty little maneuver he got there. He hit him over the head with the title belt.
Like crafty.
And then I'll go with my anchor, Britt Baker. I don't turn heel. That's why I thought it was weird. I didn't like it.
I enjoyed this show a lot, to be honest.
I got one. The Death Triangle Andrade thing didn't make any sense to me. I didn't really know that. Yeah, that was the only one of these things that's not like the other.
I'll say my anchor is the beginning of like the women's match where they kind of just didn't say anything. It was just like I was signed and Julia was just like, I'm going to be quiet while these two guys talk for me, which doesn't do anything. All right, what's your rating?
8 out of 10. Ooh. 8 out of 10. Solid episode.
I'll give it a 9. If they've been hitting it out of the park, this was fun. That beginning was really fun. I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, I have to go right in the middle. I'm going to go 8.5. Yeah, I thought it was really good. You know what? As I think about it, I think I'm going to give it a 9 too.
Let's go. Eat it, Eric.
Eat it. There actually wasn't like that much great wrestling if you really think about it. Besides the first match and the last match, there wasn't really that much.
We didn't sign up for great wrestling. I wanted a great wrestling show.
True.
If we're saying like, oh, I can't wait for this barn burner of a wrestling match between Gage and Jericho, then you don't know what's going on.
No. I mean, I actually love that match and I love the first match, but the in between, it died a little with the Julia Hart and with the Angelico match. those were two dead matches.
You need the
You
fillers,
can't
man.
give it. You can't give a 9 to
You
that.
need the fillers, man. We need everything. That's good. I'm curious to see how they're gonna do the shows now, because like we were spoiled of getting a special show. Now we're gonna go back to our.
Well, isn't next week homecoming or whatever?
They're
Aren't
just
they in
gonna have a theme every.
Homecoming,
They're gonna have a theme every weekend.
It's gonna be homecoming, and then the next one's gonna be like Far From Home.
That's funny.
They do a little too
Too
many,
funny.
but it is what it is.
They're gonna do Road
Yeah.
Rager, and then they're gonna call House Rager, and then they're just gonna call.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Rager, and that's it.
But we all
right.
obviously enjoyed the show.
Yes. So anyone
Yeah.
who stuck around this long, just click the orange box, please.
Like and
Please.
subscribe.
Subscribe, like, comment, do your thing.
Yeah, leave some comments. Tell us that you love
Peace
Julia
out.
Hart.
Yeah, please do.
All right, later, Crags.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace.
Later.
Wow, 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 wow.